Hey, it's Katie from Creative Travel Guide, and today I'm going to talk to you about my time at Disneyland Shanghai. If we haven't met before, me and my husband are British expats living here in Tianjin, China, and vlogging as we go. So if you like this video and want to see more traveling and living in China videos, make sure you hit subscribe. A bit of background knowledge about me. I am a primary school teacher living here in Tianjin and working at an international school. My colleague and I took our year 5s down to Shanghai a few weeks ago, and today I wanted to share my experience of our happiest day ever visiting Disneyland Shanghai. So Shanghai Disneyland is about an hour away from the city centre, and the park actually opens at 8 AM, so fairly early. We arrived at 9:30 AM and there were absolutely no fast passes left for some of the more popular rides like Roaring Rapids and Soarin. So if you want to make sure that you ride all of the rides, then get there for opening time. So first off, my children and I went to the Buzz Lightyear ride. This is very similar to the Buzz Lightyear ride that you will get in Florida Magic Kingdom, and it's one of my favourite ones in Florida, and the kids absolutely loved it, so it was good fun. One thing that I found really helpful is the Shanghai Disneyland app. You can download it before you go, and on the Disneyland app you can get a fast pass for rides when you arrive. So how Disneyland Shanghai work is slightly different to the ones in America. Everyone gets a fast pass, however you can only use one at a time. So when you get in, scan your ticket and you can find all of the fast passes available for that day. The app also shows you a map of Disneyland Shanghai with the waiting times of all of the rides there. This was super convenient, especially as I was taking around a group of children that wanted to ride as many rides as possible, and really didn't have much patience to wait for long queues either. We then headed to the Toy Story Land. Now this is a brand new section here in Disneyland Shanghai. They also have one very similar in the Hong Kong Disneyland, so it was super exciting, but it was really busy because I think it opened about 2 weeks before we arrived there. I found it really interesting to see some of my favourite characters like Woody and Jessie speaking in Mandarin the whole time. There is actually one thing that I did notice that was different in Disneyland Shanghai to other Disneylands. Now we haven't been to Disneyland Hong Kong yet, but from what I've read and researched is that most instructions and characters speak in English and Mandarin. But one thing I did notice about Disneyland Shanghai is that it was all Mandarin. There was very little English spoken. So back to Toy Story Land. In Toy Story Land they have a Slinky Dog ride that looks like great fun for families, and Woody's Roundup, which I really enjoyed. It looks like a really kind of simple ride, but it was a really good fun ride as well. You can also jump on Rex Racers, which surprised me with how big of a drop it went. It was a little bit like a pirate ship, but it was really steep and it had like a vertical drop. After visiting Toy Story Land, we headed over to a ride called the Voyage to the Crystal Grotto. Now this is a boat ride that takes you around different scenes from your favourite Disney movies. It's a pretty calm ride and it's really good for families, but my kids enjoyed it and so did I. Next up we headed to the Alice in Wonderland maze, which was a great little fun maze that ended up in the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. We then headed back to Tomorrowland to try the Tron Ride because we had managed to get fast passes for this. Now this is a really popular ride. I don't believe that they have the Tron Ride in other Disneyland parks, which is why this was so popular at Disneyland Shanghai. One thing I did notice, and it might just be the day that I was at, but past 3-4 o'clock, that ride became a 10-20 minute wait queue time. In the morning it was 2-hour queue time wait, so maybe it's one of those rides that gets quieter later on in the day. After a quick lunch, we headed past the Enchanted Storybook Castle towards Treasure Cove. Now one thing I did find really interesting, and I didn't know this actually, one of my children told me this, is that the Disneyland Castle in Shanghai Disneyland is completely different to the other castles in the other parks. So in the other parks in Hong Kong, Paris, Disneyland, LA and in Magic Kingdom in Florida, the castles are based on princesses. I believe it is the Cinderella Castle in Magic Kingdom and Sleeping Beauty Castle in Hong Kong. But this castle isn't based on a princess at all. I'm not entirely sure the reason why, but it's just an interesting fact about Disneyland Shanghai I found out. The Explorer Canoes had a super short queue, so we jumped onto that straight away. This is a really fun ride. It's not really a ride actually, you jump on a literal canoe and you canoe your way around, and it's like a big lake that you go around. We had some really good fun. The children really enjoyed it, and it's a good physical workout as well. Then we headed over to the Eye of the Storm Captain Jack's Stunt Show. Now one thing to note about these shows in Disneyland Shanghai is that they do not permit food or drink into the audience, so make sure that you don't bring ice cream or anything like that in, like we tried to do when we went to see the show. Now this show is all in Mandarin, but it's really good fun, and I don't speak or understand Mandarin in the slightest, but I still enjoyed the show. Then we finished our time in the park by popping back over to Tomorrowland and enjoying the Buzz Lightyear ride and Tron. These were our favourite rides, and my kids wanted to ride them one last time before we left. After leaving the park, we headed onto a boat that's just on the lake next to the entrance of Disneyland Shanghai, and it took us over to Disneyland Hotel. Here we went to Lumia's Kitchen, which is a buffet restaurant complete with characters that came out and said hello to the children, which was really good fun. To finish off the night, we headed to the top floor of the hotel. The people at the hotel were really kind and let us look at the fireworks from the top floor, and it was really nice. The weather was starting to look a little bit gloomy, it started to rain, so it was nice seeing the fireworks from a distance, and the children had a really nice time. Then we headed back to our hotel and had a good night's sleep. But that was our day in Disneyland Shanghai, and I can't wait to go back in the summer. Me and Callum are hoping to go back in the summer when we travel China, and we will give you some more travel vlog days there that are a little bit more detailed than this, I hope, because we'll be able to film a little bit more. Anyway, I hope you like this video. If you do, please make sure you give us a thumbs up and hit subscribe. Remember, stay creative. Bye!
So you thought you got it made for easy living, slipping out the back door. But it's not what you're made for, and there's nothing that